Hello, this is Matt.
Jose.
Mark. Guillaume. James.
Mel.
Zach. This is David.
Terry here.
This is PSG Talking.
Le seul podcast sur le PSG en anglais.
Hello, this is Matt.
Jose.
Mark. Guillaume. James.
Mel.
Zach. This is David.
This is PSG Talking.
Le seul podcast sur le PSG en anglais.
Welcome to the latest episode of PSG Talk. I'm Tyrone Taylor, and today I'll be joined by fellow PSG Talk contributors James Carter, John Olangi, Eduardo Razo, as we review this week's Champions League match against Bruges, as well as talk about the upcoming draw on Monday morning and some other team news. But, as always, before we jump in, fellas, how's everyone doing? I guess since it's our first time recording with Eddie. Eddie, talk to us, man. How you doing?
Good, man. Just putting stuff up on the website every day. So good to do some audio content where I don't have to write or, put stuff together, put articles together. So it's good to do some audio content.
For sure. And for anyone, that doesn't know, Eddie is one of our writers directly on the website. So make sure you go and support his articles. They always come out on the PSG Talk Twitter handle, or if you do visit the PSG Talk website, you can go and support his work there as well. And also, Eddie, you also write for a major network as well, don't you?
Yeah, I work part-time at NBC Sports Washington. So any DC PSG fan that, follows all the Washington teams there, usually doing all the app stuff, some blogs, some video stuff. So I worked on the digital side for the NBC Washington website.
That's what's up. Yeah, make sure you go follow Eddie, support his work. Always appreciate it. We gotta take care of our contributors, man. James, my guy, talk to me, man. How's everything out in the Bay?
Bro, we outside, man. Well, we inside right now. It's a little chilly out, but just enjoying this beautiful sunset. Feels like the sun is setting on Pochettino right now, but overall, man, we're doing really good. Glad to be here.
Love to hear it. Talk to me, Jay. How's everything in North Carolina, man?
Oh, can't call it, man. Good to be here. Weekend's coming up, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, man, I'm ready to talk some footy. Let's get into it. We got some spicy topics today. I'm already knowing.
It's the only way to be. Well, there's only one place to start. This episode for the most part will be, based around this week's Champions League roundup and where PSG ended up, as well as, as we all prepare anxiously, I'm sure, for Monday's draw. But PSG ended the group stage second place. Man City did top the group, but we did, walk away with a 4-1 victory over Bruges, in the final game of the group stage. So, just want to go around. I guess we'll start with Eddie. Just what were your takeaways, man, from the game and just your overall takeaways from the group stage, and what you saw from PSG as a whole?
Overall, group stage play, a mixed bag of emotions. There was times where we saw what this attack can be, especially with Messi, Neymar, and Mbappé. You got some flashes, especially in that first matchup against City. But I think overall it left me wanting more. There was instances where it's for example, the game against Leipzig where they had the game won, and then you had Kimpembe give up a blunder for a PK. So we got the best of both, not the best, lack of a better word, but we got the best of both worlds where it's okay, this is what it could look like. And then the other side where it's man, Pochettino doesn't look like he's the right guy for the job. And then against Bruges, I'm happy that they took the game serious. I mean, they had their, they locked up a second spot in Group A, but they took the game seriously. They scored, Mbappé already had a brace less than 10 minutes into the match. And then you had the Leo Messi brace. So it was good to see them. They had some matches coming into the game where it's like they didn't look convincing. We saw the draws against Nice and Lens. They didn't look that good. So it was good to see them take the game seriously against Bruges. So overall, it's just a bag of mixed emotions.
Yeah. So I mean, my take on the match against Bruges is kind of interesting because if we would have beat Bruges in the first time we played them, we will probably top the group. I think that draw is what hindsight is 2020. But I think if we would have took care of our business there, we wouldn't have been finishing second in this group. But overall, like they won the match. They did what they were supposed to do. But I still saw a little bit of what we've been seeing all season sprinkled into that match where, it's still try to get Messi on the ball and try to get Mbappé on the ball. But it's the difficulty to do that one thing, right? It's easy to say, get those guys the ball. But the trouble that we've been having is actually transitioning from the defense through the midfield and actually getting them the ball. But this match, there was a little bit more fluidity that I liked, and it was like, this is what we would like to see against the City, against the Leipzig. Club Brugge has the worst defensive, record in this group stage, in the entire competition. So it's not really saying much to put 4 on them. But then again, we did draw 1-1 early in the competition. But overall, man, I think, we handled our business. It was cool to see Mbappé let Messi take that penalty, and where he could have got his hat trick, and he let Messi get that penalty. So and he took it like a champion, like he always does. But my overall feeling is this is where we are, and when we get further into the episode, we talk about our potential matchups in the round of 16. That's where it really matters the most. If we would have took care of our business when we played Bruges or when we tied against Leipzig, we wouldn't be in this predicament. But here we are.
It's interesting. I definitely agree with what John said, but I hate these kind of matches because if you win, it's business as usual. But if you lose, then it is an indictment on the club as a whole. You're supposed to win against Bruges and do it in convincing fashion. But if you don't, then it raises all the flags and pundits come out of the woodworks. They look in their shops and what have you. Overall, I think the match was good. We did concede a goal, which was interesting. I do think that we can get up in games at times and then kind of take our foot off the gas a little bit and not play that clinical wire-to-wire 90 minutes like we should. Obviously, it was good to see Messi in form. I think Di Maria had a phenomenal play on the ball that allowed Mbappé to score a really nice goal. And that's the stuff that you like to see. I know in the past we've discussed it's not just winning, but it's how you win and playing a very attractive style of football. And yesterday, during that match, we saw that attractive style of football come to fruition. But again, it was against Club Brugge, so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. These are the matches that we're supposed to win. And it will be interesting moving forward to see what we do with the match coming up versus Monaco, how the play that we showed against Club Brugge, how that play transitions over into league play, where we definitely need to win this game. I think Monaco's like 7th in the league or something like that. So we definitely need to win this game. We've struggled with the top 5 teams in Liga. And so this is a match that we definitely need to win coming up with Monaco. But as I said, good effort with Club Brugge. Great to see Messi scoring. Great to see Mbappé getting close to a hat trick. But I will say that one thing about Mbappé that I'm noticing is that his vision for finding the right play or finding the right pass has definitely improved to where, man, you can almost mark it as a goal sometimes. Like, his vision is sick. And I don't think that's discussed enough because everyone's always talking about his attacking prowess and his pace and all of that. But his vision, he's looking like he's doing some no-look passes out there sometimes. It's really something to see. And I'm going to give credit where credit is due. If I'm going to be hard on you when you're messing up, I'm going to give you credit when you're showing up and doing the right thing. So kudos to Mbappe for sure.
Definitely agree. I'm glad that you're not bringing Mbappe to the podium this week. But listen, there's always next week, right? There's always next week. The podium does not discriminate for James, and we definitely appreciate that here at PSG Talk. But I agree with everything you guys said. Listen, for me, it's what I expect, right? It's like when you're a parent and you get sometimes good grades, or you do something at work, and you killed it, or you did a great job, but certain people, your boss or your parents, are looking at you and being like, but this is what's expected of you, right? So for me, happy to see it. It was a breath of fresh air, but at the same time, I'm not like standing up, clapping, standing ovation, talking about, PSG is back. I think people forget that, Club Brugge, I think it was John that mentioned this to me in the chat, Club Brugge has the worst defensive record in all of the Champions League. So whether Neymar's there or not, whether, even if Messi didn't play, someone like Mbappe, Di Maria, the two of them should be tearing up a team like Bruges, So listen, it was a great way to end the group stage. Glad that we were able to have a game where, we were able to truly dominate. But again, we weren't able to see that out. And like James said, it's one of those things where we seem to dominate for spurts. And I think this happened against Leipzig or another team in the group stage, where we dominated for 30 minutes, 45 minutes. Maybe it was one of those Man City matches. And then after halftime, we come out and it's just like the energy's gone. It's just like, we're like, all right, we don't really got to play anymore. This game's done and dusted. So, defense gets leaky. We're getting chopped up again in the midfield. And again, not a clean sheet. I would have loved to leave that game with a clean sheet, 4-0 or whatever, it may have been. But listen, man, again, it's what I expected. Not going to get too high, not going to get too low on the performance. The one concern I have, and we'll touch on this a little more, is, there's been a lot of conversation about, Poch and where things stand. I think after the last 3 years of watching Man United for so long, it's like the Ali effect, right? Like, is this result, enough to, keep Poch, or does the hierarchy, still have questions, or were those questions relieved, and all that kind of stuff. And another question I have, and, you guys can chime in if you want, or just something to think about is, okay, Neymar's not here. We've seen it a couple of times that Mbappe, Messi play well when Neymar's not there, right? Neymar has the effect of holding onto the ball too much, kind of like, the same criticism if you watch American sports, right? With Melo, like the ball stopper, hanging onto the ball too long, kind of drawing people in. If they do go on a run, right, and we start to see vast improvements where Messi and Mbappe, Di Maria, who I think, doesn't hold the ball up, he also tracks back a little bit more than Neymar does, then you run into a situation where when Neymar is healthy, do you just throw him back in the lineup right away? Or do you have a coach who, is Poch that guy, or whether it's someone else that's going to say, hey, we're not going to throw you back in. Like, this is working. Like, as a fan base, what would you want, right? Like, do you bring Neymar in as a super sub? Do you throw up all the chemistry that you've built the last 6 to 8 weeks and all the progress and throw him back in? And then if he does come back and it's not looking great, or we kind of, go back to where we were and regress, do you then take him out? That's just one of the things I've been wondering, because Di Maria has been waiting for this opportunity, right? He's the one that's really kind of been asked out in a sense when Messi came. So it's like, okay, if he does put the ball out, he is tracking back. He is, providing the sick assist, like he did the ball over the top for Mbappe's second goal, which was chef's kiss. Honestly, it was, a thing of beauty. And he's doing this week in and week out. And we're seeing, okay, wow, the three of them are really gelling. What do we do there? So if you guys do have anything, on that, feel free to jump in. If not, I'll end it on that. So not too high, not too low. Happy with what I saw, but I'm not blown away by any means. And I'm not, thinking that what's ailed us all season so far has been resolved by any means.
Yeah, that's a spooky subject right there, because we've had conversations in the past about Neymar and his kind of absence when he is on the pitch, and some of his decision making. So it was very interesting to see how fluid the play was, especially on the attack when Di Maria was in. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying that's interesting.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't. I get what y'all saying, and this is what happens a lot when I watch some of these like major networks on CBS or ESPN after a match when Neymar gets injured, because he always gets injured, and then we see PSG play a more quote unquote fluid match. But we got to have some nuance here and context. It's just like, all right, first of all, we already said that we were playing Bruges, who are not great defensively, and they allowed us to dominate the match. And then number two, it's just not going to happen because of the investment that Neymar is at PSG, right? Like, he is the guy. So in no world is Potts, number one, Potts is not going to have the balls to do that, number one, because we already know what the hierarchy situation at PSG is and how toxic it is, where people have already came out and said that, if a player has a problem, they skip the coach and they skip the director, they go straight to Nasser. So it sounds good in theory, but realistically, it's not going to happen. So me personally, I don't really think on it that much, because I just know that Neymar is going to start when he gets back and he's fully healthy and there's nothing else you can do. So I turn that to Poch as the manager. Instead of trying to force your system on the players you have, use the players you have and try to build a system with what you have. That's your job as a manager, is to use the tools that are in your shed and do something with it as best as you can. And that's been the problem. He hasn't been able to get these world-class players to play a fluid match. So let's not now say that, because Neymar wasn't in the game and we played a more fluid match, this is possibly how we should play. No, it's up to Potts to get them boys right when they are healthy, when they're all there, and fix it then. Let's not wait until someone's injured and try to do something. So that's my take on it. I don't think it would happen. In theory, it sounds ideal because of what you're seeing, and there might be some recency bias there, honestly. But no, they're not gonna do that.
No, and let me be clear on this. First of all, Neymar's my guy. I am a Neymar fan to the fullest. He's one of my favorite players, has been for a long time. This is really not about Neymar specifically. This is more so about, what we talked about last time in the group chat, and it's been a conversation for a lot of fans, is you just have three players who don't track back, right? You have three players who don't give you enough on both sides of the ball for them to work. And Di Maria has shown that he is someone that will track back and will do, some of the dirty work on the wings. This is not a agenda against Ney in any sense, right? When Ney's on and he's balling, there are very few, if any, that are at that level, and the other two may be on our team already, right? So this really isn't about Ney in the sense of, he's better or is Di Maria better. It's more so just, okay, if it is working with us and knowing that, there's the team is so unbalanced when those three are on it. Again, I think you're right. I think there's too much money involved for us to actually sit him. I just wonder, if Poch isn't here and someone else is, or the fan base sees it, and Ney comes back and doesn't do well, will the fan base call and say, we can't go back to this? Like, someone has to sit, someone has to be a super sub or something like that. So just want to clear that up. I don't want anyone coming at me and being like, oh, Ty said that, Di Maria is better than Ney, and Ney's trash, he's the problem. No, this is not about that at all. This is strictly about just the balance of the team, and we'll see, right? Because we still may be shit over the next couple of weeks, and it may be like, hey, like we do need Ney. But that was just my thought process there. It was just food for thought.
Hey, man, we can't have Neymar coming off the bench like Divock Origi, even though Origi is one of the best super subs I've ever seen in my whole life. But
Neymar, Liverpool got to build a statue for that man, dog.
Put the statue in the front of the stadium for shout out to that man. Let's get back to PSG.
Eddie, what do you got, man? Do you got anything on the just the balance of the team and if things do progress well for the squad?
I want a larger sample size before I go into that. I mean, we see when, like you said, when Neymar is on top, we saw it against Bayern Munich in that first leg, where it's like, man, he pretty much had a hand in all the goals scored, and we've seen what Neymar can do even in the knockout stage. It's just it's to me, it's like I'd rather have that than Di Maria, even though Di Maria too has had his history of saving PSG. I remember the Napoli game, so it's a good problem to have. Not a lot of clubs could say this, like, oh man, who do we have? But if you were to twist my arm to that, I'd still have Neymar in there. Just even the politics aside too, I think I just rather roll with what Neymar can do on his best day.
No, I respect it. And I agree. You're right. We need more of a sample size. Just listen, maybe not foreshadowing, but we'll see. So as we all get ready, I don't know about you guys. Historically, I usually wake up on Monday, but I will be up on Monday morning, relatively nervous when I hear, you know what I mean? And they over there, they talking about, hey, and buddy who explains the rules every year. Like, I haven't sat here every year, and I know that these things have to go in this bucket, and it's like it just takes too long, right? I just want them to move to a process where it's, listen, we're gonna put the plastic balls in the glass, buckets, the glass bowls. We're gonna spin them around. I don't want to look at the awards or look at any of the other stuff. But who knows? Maybe we'll do a live reaction, or at least whoever's up. I know that'll be tough for the guys on the West Coast, but I'll probably be up, maybe record something that morning. But let's get to it, man. As it currently stands, PSG did finish second in the group, which means that the potential round of 16 opponents are Liverpool, Ajax, Real Madrid, Manchester United, Juventus, or FC Bayern Munich. So, Eddie, back to you, man. What is your best case scenario, or who ideally would you like to play, and who is your worst case scenario?
I think I can speak for all of us here. The best case scenario is Juventus. Like, they're not very convincing. I caught glimpses of their game the other day, and it's just, they're not as convincing. So that would be the ideal draw. And then the worst case scenario would be Liverpool. Liverpool's just a machine. They went through a group that had Porto, Milan, and Atletico, and they just did work. They didn't lose all 18 points, and it's just like, if I can avoid Liverpool this early in the knockout stage, that's the worst case scenario for me. I do not want anything to do with Liverpool at the moment.
I think you may be right. I think James got his hand over his eye right now. He don't even want to tell us. Talk to me, James, man. Give me your best case, and then tell me the nightmares you've been having about, what could go down on Monday. For you guys, it's a little bit different, right? Because you guys on the West Coast, you literally wake up, and the minute you pick up your phone, crust still in your eyes. You haven't even brushed your teeth yet. You look at your phone, and you can already see, and that could ruin your Monday. Potentially could be ruined. You don't even have time to prepare.
No, I'm going to meditate, go to the gym, work out, pray, and then I'll look at my phone. But I'm not excited about any of these matchups at all. I think one thing that, as a PSG fan, you must realize is that there are two things that factor into the round of 16. It is the team that's on form, and it is the team that you match up with. Right. And for us, to everyone's point here, would much rather face Juventus. Shout out to Moise Kean. Come on home, brother. Come on home. But I would much rather match up with them. And then I'm not going to mention the team that I don't want to match up with. Y'all know who it is. Robert Lewandowski is on that team. He's pissed. He's pissed at Messi. He's pissed at us. He's coming for his smoke. And for whatever reason, because the UEFA gods, they don't like us, you know what matchup we're going to get. It's either them or it's going to be United. Now, we can say, oh, well, we might have a fair shot with United. You're not going to have a fair shot if you have the goal-scoring machine, Mr. Champions League, Cristiano Ronaldo. You can be playing great all match, and he will come in at the 90th minute and kill you. We cannot afford that. And for whatever reason, United seems to be that group particularly in the round of 16, that we seem to have this weird connection with. I don't know what kind of energies or spirits are around when we play this team, but for whatever reason, this team really gets under our skin and we have a malfunction of sorts. And I really do not want to have a malfunction with Cristiano Ronaldo on the other side of the pitch. Please no. And I definitely don't want to have a malfunction with RL9 pissed off because he didn't get the Ballon d'Or, which he probably should have, been awarded. I don't want him taking that out on us. Let's just push that down the line, push that down the lane. We don't have to play them anytime soon. Obviously, Liverpool is a phenomenal team right now. I just watched their Champions League match the other day, and they had a bunch of subs, and they might have like a 12-year-old that they pulled out of the stands and put a jersey on him, and he went out there and scored some goals. Like, I don't understand this team as an institution. I'm confused how they just seem to pull all this like young talent out of nowhere. They have depth, they have superstars. Mo Salah is back. Welcome back, Mo Salah. I'm not really interested in playing that team either. Real Madrid is a sleeper. They're at the top of La Liga right now. Please do not think they won't come in and disrespect us and look over at Mbappé and say, hey, you could come over here. You could come over here and get with us. We're doing a lot of big things. We just took out your team. It's a group of death, really. There's no good option there outside of Juventus, and I don't want to sleep on Juventus because any round of 16, somebody can get the best of us. It only takes a few injuries here, a few cards here, a few slip-ups. Kimpembe's doing okay, but he could not in the round of 16, and then we're back here putting them on the podium. So Juventus is my pick. It's probably not going to be them. It'll probably be United because who doesn't want to see Messi and Ronaldo? And as we know, the drawing is very fair, very balanced. There's no cheating of any sort in that. But of course it'll be Juventus. Of course it'll be United. It'll be United for sure. But I would like Juventus.
What about you, John, man? Talk to me.
Nah, man. I'm just gonna come out the gate and say this. Like, if we draw Liverpool or Bayern, man, we getting mopped up, bro. Like, I'm just gonna be completely honest. Like, I know some PSG fans don't want to hear this, and you got to be objective. We got to keep it a buck here, man. Like everybody has mentioned, like Liverpool is just playing on a different level right now. Like James said, they mopped up the team that is currently leading top of the league in the Serie A and AC Milan, made them look like children, as they had children on the pitch for themselves. It's like these are not the matchups we want right now, and obviously Bayern are a machine. So ideally, I would like, on paper, I would say it looks like you would want Ajax or Juve, but Ajax ain't no sleeper either. They're playing on a different level right now. This kid that they have is like leading, like he's like scoring in every match in the Champions League, and they just Ajax have that structural, just that a history of getting results and doing stuff that's not expected of them because there's just a whole bunch of kids on their roster, and so yeah, and I think we'll draw Man United, to be quite honest, just because of what James just kind of said, just the politics of them wanting to put Messi and Ronaldo, against each other, where you'll potentially lose one of the quote unquote big dogs early in the competition. And I personally like that draw because it's a tough enough opponent, but I'm not like fearful. Like, it's not as scary as the daunting task of playing the Liverpool or Bayern, where, it's still a tough enough opponent, but it's not, panic stations, I would say. So I think we're going to draw Man United, to be quite honest, but ideally I would like us to get Juve, because I think out of this group, the potential group we can play, I think they're the weakest and not really in the best form at this moment. So yeah, I think we're going to get that Man United matchup, and we know the trauma and the demons that comes with that matchup. So hey man, this is our bed, man. We got to line that thing.
Yeah, I think we're all kind of in the same space for the most part. In a perfect world, I actually have a couple thoughts on this. So Juventus is for me the logical option on paper, when I look at it. But, going back through this, I'm looking at Ajax's group, right? And first of all, respect to Ajax, 6 games, 6 wins, 20 goals scored, only 5 conceded, goal differential 15. But then I'm looking at the group, right? Sporting, Dortmund, who played horrible. And I think Haaland missed the first game, right? Right. He was injured.
Yeah, he did.
And I don't even know if he played the second game or he didn't, so then you're playing a Dortmund without Sancho, without Haaland. Then you have Besiktas, who, they only scored 3. They let in 19. Dortmund scored 10, let in 11. Sporting scored 14, but let in 12. So it's a very simple group, right? I'd be interested to see, if those results are the same, if a Real or an Inter or a Liverpool or us or City, or even a Barcelona, not Barcelona, them boys trash, or a Man United or someone else was in that group, right? So I know on paper, just looking at the way Ajax played, it's easy to be like, hey, listen, we don't want to play them. I think they obviously are a more favorable option than a lot of other teams. But as I spend more time just looking at the group, I'm kind of wondering, would I walk away happy if we drew Ajax on Monday? And I think I would. I'd be happy with Ajax. I'd be happy with Juventus. Man United's interesting. I do think that they, in the past, have been a bogey team for us. But looking back at that as well, in the group stage, we've only played them once recently in the round of 16. The group stage last year, we beat them at home. They beat us at our home, or we beat them at Old Trafford. They beat us at the Park. So we split. And then obviously we know what happened in the round of 16. It was the same thing, but that home match was very interesting, right? It was no Thiago Silva that day, I don't think. No Neymar. We had some injuries, crazy, hiccups and mistakes by, Tilo, as well as 2 just disaster class goals let in by Buffon. So as it currently stands, I'd feel comfortable playing United. I don't know if that's going to be the same come February. Ralph is respected. He's received a lot of praise. He's already changed things. The first 2 games under him, while yesterday wasn't great, or Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever they played, they also played a lot of young kids. It was pretty much a full rotation. And we'll see, right, kind of where they're at. He will probably look to implement like a true pressing system, something that we struggle with. So we'd see. Out of the other options, I would be happy with them. Obviously we can't play Man City, can't play Lille. So, Ajax, Juve, Man United would be my ideal choices. I think people are sleeping on Real Madrid. Ideally don't want to play them. Ancelotti has them in a good run of form. Don't want to play Liverpool. 6 games, 6 wins, 17 goals, 6 against. They're just a team that I just ideally would like to avoid. And then you have the boogeyman. You got the boogeyman. Listen, these boys are scary. I don't want to play these guys. Like James said, I'm not even going to say their name out loud. You have a guy who feels the Ballon d'Or was robbed from him. It's sitting in France right now. It's sitting in Messi's house. He wants to come here and steal it. He wants to commit robbery. You have Thomas Muller, who, this guy is just something else. He's funny. I don't know if you've ever seen this guy speak, but he's always telling jokes. He called Robert Lewandowski Lewandowski the other day. He always seems to pop up in the right moments. They're a relentless team. 22 goals scored, 3 conceded. Again, also, they aren't in a great group, right? I know no one wants to play them, but, Kiev, Benfica, Barcelona, none of these teams scored more than 7 goals. Benfica scored 7, Barcelona scored 2, and Dynamo Kiev scored 1 goal. So we're also not looking at Bayern, and saying, listen, they played in a super hard group. So that's like the one thing with these group stages is, taking them at times with a grain of salt. So ideally, that's kind of where I stand. I think we're all in the same place, but we'll find out. We'll find out on Monday, and no matter who it is, we ride. And the same goes for PSG, though, right? Like, it's not till February, so things could change a lot in Paris by then, right? Form could increase for some, form could drop for some. Messi could really find a run of form where he's finally clicking. Poch could be here. Maybe Poch isn't here, right? So maybe someone else is on the touchline. So we'll see. But yeah, it's there's no like, listen, this is a team I know that we can batter. I don't, based on current form, I don't really see anyone like that. But there are some teams that we would all rather play than others. So I guess that's a great segue into the Poch story. So Eddie, I know the three of us have spoken a couple times, meaning James and John, about just where Poch stands. I'd love in current standing to get an update on everybody. I know we've all had different opinions. Starting with Eddie, now that the group stage is over, we're entering January. There have obviously been some rumblings about PSG, reigniting conversations with Zidane. What would you like to see PSG do? And what do you think happens? Are you on the, hey, after the game against Bruges, let's give Poch more time. Let's just see this at the end of the season. Or do you think if PSG is going to make a change, it needs to be made now to give sufficient time before the round of 16?
Yeah, I agree with that last point. I think if they're going to move on from Poch, it has to be this month. Like, at least you'll give the new manager all of January to prepare, because like we've seen with Barcelona, where they go to Xavi and they're asking, hey, save us the Champions League in a span of a couple of weeks, and you can't do it. I don't want PSG to be in that situation where they wait too long to either sack Pochettino or give him the vote of confidence and tell him, hey, you're still our guy. So I think it has to be sometime this month. I would say they have to come out and publicly say it, because you just can't have the rumors keep swirling and swirling. So to me, I'm conflicted on this matter. I like Pochettino, but then I question some of the decisions he's making, whether it's keep putting in Danilo.
In or out, Eddie? I'm putting you on the spot, man. In or out, dog?
I think he's gonna stay in. If I had to like put some money on it, I think he's gonna stay in. Leonardo already came out publicly said it. Nasser came out and publicly said it. I'm gonna just go with those guys' word. I'm gonna trust those guys is what they've said over the last couple of weeks. So I think he's gonna stay, even though I have my questions about him.
Okay, so you think he's gonna stay? Do you want him to stay? If you were running the ship right now, or you were talking to Leo, are you saying go get Zidane, Poch out, or are you saying let's keep him in and let's just ride this wave?
I'm only going out if Zidane's coming. Like, nobody else except outside of Zidane. I don't feel like anybody else is gonna come outside of Zidane. So if Zidane's not coming, then you just gotta ride it out with it. But if Zidane's open to it, says yes, sign me up, let's talk contract, then it's out. But if I'm not going out anybody else but Zidane. Like that's it. Like, I'm not gonna go anybody else outside of that.
Okay, I like it. John, what are you thinking, man? I think, obviously the three of us, have spoken about this sometimes ad nauseum with Poch. I know all of us, and let me make clear, whether we are Poch in or Poch out, that does not mean that we are fans of rotating managers. I do believe that, managers need to be given time, and even through bad results, managers need to be given time to implement their systems. But again, I want to, make sure everyone understands that Poch has been here for 12 months, right? 12 months. This isn't 3 months, 4 months, 6 months. This January will be a full year since he's joined the club. I know, John, in the past, you've been like, no, we can't switch. We just got to ride this wave. He's got to stay. We got to see where this goes. Now that a couple more weeks has passed, the group stage has ended. We've heard some rumblings. Where do you stand?
Yeah, I mean, I got my stance on it. Like, I think you kind of said it there when you prefaced your comments. Is like, I can be Poch out right now, but my stance is still the idea of firing managers mid-season every 2 years is just a terrible blueprint to go by. And for me, that's why I think, like, from strictly a sporting aspect, PSG is a poorly run club, like from the sporting decisions that they make. Obviously, marketing and all the other stuff they do is incredible. I think in colleges and in schools, you can teach how to build a business in the sporting industry, and you can use PSG as that blueprint. But from a sporting aspect, no. But to answer the question directly, I think that it would, like, on a macro level, right? PSG are a win now, right? Like, everything they're doing is to win now. So if you want to win now, and the thing that you've been trying to win for years and years is the Champions League, to salvage that, you got to let the guy go right now. Like Eddie said, you have to do it now to give whoever comes in time to try to implement something so that they can compete whenever we play whoever, whether it be Bayern, Liverpool, United, or whoever. So no, because Pop, on Pochettino himself, if I take away my thoughts on how I feel that the club should fire a manager or not fire him, I think the best thing he's done so far, if you look at who has he developed, what players have gotten better under him, like those type of things that you have to look at. I think the best thing he's done was manage the best thing he's done is manage Gigi Donnarumma and Keylor Navas playing time, to be quite honest with you. Just like having two world-class goalkeepers, and like, what are you going to do in that moment? And I believe he's actually managed to give them an adequate amount of time to play in big matches. They both played 3 Champions League matches. Keylor, I think, got like 10 matches. Gigi got 7. So to be quite honest, like, I'm being very truthful. I think that's the best thing that he's done in terms of just managing the team, is managing that situation. Outside of that, the club the team lacks identity. It lacks a sense of urgency. You look at the best teams in Europe, everybody presses, or everybody has an intensity about them that we don't have. And again, the youth is not being developed. We talk about Xavi Simons and all these guys not getting any play time. That comes down to the coach. He has the power to play those guys, but as we said before, you can't do that. You can't experiment when you're failing at trying to get the one thing that the club has been trying to get this whole time. So yeah, I think now is the time to part ways. I don't think they'll do it because they came out and said they're kind of like going to ride out with it, but I think now is the time to get rid of them. If the Champions League is the goal, you want to give the new manager time to implement their system and to at least try to compete, because the way we playing right now, we're not on the level of the big dog.
I feel you. James is, we started the episode, James was smiling. He was, it was light in his apartment.
Come on,
now he's sitting by himself in the dark.
Come on, man.
James, patch in or patch out, man? Now that we're at the end of the season and now we have a break from the Champions League, and as we look towards February, just based on what you've seen, again, that doesn't mean you're anti-Poch. What do you feel is the right decision for PSG at the moment?
All right, we're going to get to it. Go ahead and bring the podium, man. Go ahead and bring it in.
Oh, man.
Poch, my boy.
Oh, man, not the podium.
My boy. I believe we have reached the end of the road. And it's for a great reason. If we look at what's going on league-wise, we look at the table, we look at the top 5 teams in France. PSG is, of course, at the top of the table. But all of the other teams, 2 through 4, let's say, we have either lost to or drawn. That's Marseille. That was a draw, 0-0. We lost to Rennes, 2-0. We drew Nice, 0-0. And we damn near lost to Lens. To Lens. If not for an amazing Wijnaldum header at the death. That's not good. That's not great. That's not a level of professionalism. That's not what we're paying all of this money in sporting in trainers, in personnel, and in players to see. And it's unfortunate because you kind of get swept up with, we got to win the Champions League, win the Champions League, win the Champions League. And we're at the top of the table. And I myself have been caught up in that as well. Like, oh, well, we're at the top of the league. But who's to say that Monaco doesn't come in and kick our teeth in because we're falling asleep at the wheel and now we're having a different conversation? Who's to say we don't get matched up? Let's say we get matched up with a Juventus and we're like feeling a little bit confident about it and they kick our teeth in. Then where does that leave us? Now we're talking about Poch out. So I think the personnel, top brass at PSG, have tried to dispel the rumors of Zidane and the conversations with Zidane and saying like, oh, no, we're not talking to Zidane. We love Poch and all of that. But a rumor can only be a rumor, but for so long. Like this story is just not going away, much like Mbappé going to Real Madrid is not going away. There has to be some truth in that. And if that is a viable option on the table for us to go get Zinedine Zidane, then we have to exercise that option sooner than later. I think I read an article where it said there was a match against, what team was that? Lens? And Poch changed the tactical formation 5 different times throughout the 90 minutes. So if you as a manager don't have any idea on what needs to be done, how can the players respond in kind? This article said something like Marco Verratti played 6 different positions around the midfield in one match. What is your tactical point of view as a manager of a sporting team? What is the position that you have? And to Ty's point, it's not like you've been here for 2 months. I think Xavi's going to get a lot of slack given what he's got over at Barcelona. Poch, you don't have the luxury of time. And you knew that before you signed up for this job. This is the toughest job. It's win now or die. And unfortunately, this is your eulogy. We are at your funeral today. My boy, you got to go. And I'm sorry to see it.
Listen, man, while we're here at the podium, while we're up here speaking, Poch,
you're fired. And in case your ears are fucked, get the fuck out. And
all right, listen. Jokes aside, man, I like Poch. This is the reason that I personally think we need to part ways. This is less about Poch and more about the system at PSG and what I believe is best for the current moment. I believe Poch has already come out and said that this isn't or wasn't his ideal project, that he's someone that wants to build something over multiple years. Okay, strike one, because that's not where we are, right? This is somewhere where it's win now and you knew it was. So I think if Poch had a team like the Spurs, when he first joined, where he can have 3 to 5 years to develop youth and bring players along, teach his system, he would be better suited. But unfortunately, PSG is very unbalanced. We went after all these superstars on one end of the pitch, paid for 2 world-class goalies on the other end, and decided to leave our midfield barren with scraps outside of one world-class midfielder who's made of glass, essentially, who can't stay on the field. And we're either a world-class team with him or we are a League 2 side without him, essentially. You know what I mean? So this is a team that needs someone who can make the most out of what he has. And also, I agree with, Eddie on the point that if it's Zidane, I make a move. If it's not Zidane and you're going to get an interim manager, or, I know, Carl, one of our other PSG Talk contributors, has, brought up the name of Ten Hag. I like Ten Hag. Again, I feel like he falls into the mold of Poch. I feel like if we're willing to blow up this project, let Mbappé walk, let Neymar go, didn't sign Messi, then yes, if we're going to come here, let him implement a system over 3 or 5 years, that's fine. And if you bring Ten Hag in and you're still going to do that and phase Neymar and Messi off the books, then that's fine, right? But we're hearing that, Di Maria is going to potentially, exercise his 1-year option. Messi has an option. I doubt that he walks away from the amount of money he makes. So he's going to be here, you'd assume, for another, year. Neymar is signed, unless they just say, hey, we're going to make, money back and we're going to sell even at a discount and let you leave. I just don't think PSG is that kind of club. I feel like they are still in win now mode. I'm 100% on board. If they want to sign Zidane to a 2-year contract or even 1 year, because I know he wants the France job, and let him work with these players right now. And then, at the end of that contract, let him walk, take the France job. Once Neymar's contracts kind of dwindle down, Messi's gone, we want to rebuild and do this a different way. I'm fully on board. But the one thing I think that Zidane has, while he might not be as tactically nuanced as a Tuchel or a Pep, he has shown the ability to work with superstar locker rooms. He has showed the ability to deal with egos. He is someone who has won it all, not only as a player, but as a coach. I've watched his halftime speeches, the way he galvanizes the team. He is someone, who I think can maybe do a slightly better job of working with what he has. And listen, again, right, where there's smoke, there's fire. First from Leo and Nasser, there was, hey, we're not talking to him. There have been no conversations. But now I'm seeing, even after Wednesday's game, that no, there is conversations happening. Those conversations have even since been reignited this week, and he's still interested, right? And we're even seeing talks about potentially, Arsene Wenger coming in and replacing Leonardo, right? So there's definitely some kind of, conversations on the back end. I think we're just getting the backpedaling from media sources because maybe there's nothing in final writing. I would be surprised if we don't see things pick up on that end over the next couple of weeks, because like we all mentioned, right, it's about timing. You don't want to do this when you're a couple of weeks out from the round of 16 game. There's already a lack of, time for training and full teamwork in the season already. If you're going to give yourself 2 full months, I think you do it now and just hope that you can pull something out of it. So if it's Zidane, I say entertain it. Again, this isn't an anti-Poch pod. It's just strictly about the way Poch fits into this system, in the here and now with the way the team's constructed. Who knows, right? It's all been about Man United wanting Poch. With Ralph there now, he's someone that seems to be very involved. He wants teams to play his way. Does Poch fit the Man United way? Do Man United fans and other individuals feel the same about Poch now than they did a couple of weeks ago, with him being able to, work with the talent he has? It's gotten to the point, and I think I told you guys this the other day when we were joking, where Man United fans are on Twitter now hoping for PSG in the draw. Like, we're seen as a weak link in the draw. That's crazy to me. That teams are like
hours.
Yeah, man, to the point where like teams like Man United and other teams are probably, looking at us and saying, oh, you know what? PSG hasn't impressed anybody. They don't play like a team. They don't defend as a team. The 3 up front don't track back. So it's going to be 11 or 10 versus, 7 or 9 versus 7 on the attack. We just got to worry about being hit in the counter. But if we stay compact and keep everything in front of us and keep possession, we'll be in a good space. So that's where I stand. I'm not gonna harp on trying to get Poch out of here. Listen, if Poch is here come February, then we ride, right? And I want the best for Poch. Former PSG captain. I think he's a good dude, and I think in the right system, I think he'd thrive. I just think the cards are kind of stacked against him here, and I think he's also let it be known that he's not happy, right? Like, he hasn't bought a home yet. His family's still in London. Reports that he was talking to Man United. And I think the other piece of the puzzle is, the players, right? There's already been rumblings that Messi doesn't feel comfortable. He doesn't feel like Poch is utilizing him the right way. One thing I will say is I don't put the Messi thing on Poch. Poch didn't come out and ask for Messi to be bought. He didn't come out and ask, for that to be part of his team. Maybe that threw off his plans, right? But at the end of the day, you're at a club that buys superstar players. And the minute that Messi was announced to be in the running, you knew that your team was going to go after him no matter what you said to Leo or Nasser, right? Because it's a business at the end of the day. It's about, marketing, advertisements, sponsorships, all that kind of stuff. So listen, and if a team like PSG Hub had tweeted, provided from a bunch of other sources that there are multiple key players in the locker room who aren't convinced by Poch. So you already have a team that is not fully convinced, outside of Leonardo's pride because his name is attached to Poch. I don't see how he stays. I don't see how that happens. The only way I see this happening is if they just can't come to an agreement with Zidane, or, all the rumors aren't true and someone like Messi or Neymar and Mbappé goes to the board and says, no, we want him to stay. But that's just not what I'm hearing. So we'll see, what happens. There'll definitely be some interesting times in the next couple of weeks. All right, enough on Poch and who we potentially play. I think we can kind of get to some team news here and just some of the things that we've been hearing or that have been said in terms of the transfer market as we get ready to enter January. I'm going to read off a couple, key tweets from PSG Hub, and then I guess you guys can kind of give your take. And then we'll also get into, where you think we need to strengthen come January, if we are going to go to the market, what we need to focus on, or, who we need to get off the books. On a more positive note, Marquinhos looks like he's going to extend, quoted as saying that they're looking for a lifetime, marriage between him and PSG. He wants to be here. They're looking to keep him as a key figure on the books for as long as possible. Di Maria looks like he's going to extend for a year and exercise that 1-year option. Sergio Ramos, as we knew, probably wasn't the best idea to play him a full 90 minutes. He hasn't played since. I think we've had 3 games now pass where he hasn't played. It looks like as of today, he still did not take part in the team's collective sessions. He continued his recovery work on his own. And PSG are open, or at least Genie is open to, a return to the Prem. PSG is, at least open to hearing offers from the Prem or from other teams come January. If he really wants to leave, it's still, I'm not too sure on that source that PSG Hub, gave credit to. Sky Cave. I know, Eddie, you wrote a piece and you can touch on that as well. I think you mentioned that Arsenal is the one team that is.
Yeah, it's Sky Sports. The source is Sky Sports. Okay,
perfect. There we go. And then the last one is PSG is looking to get rid of at least 7 players. This is about 5 days ago. This came out, at least 3 this winter. So it looks like Rico, Tilo, Diallo, Icardi, Rafinha, Kurzawa, and Paredes is on the block as it currently stands. I know Paredes has kind of come out and defended himself and basically said he's not going anywhere. So again, right, it's a team where the players kind of say if they want to leave or don't want to leave. And we know that one of Leo's deficiencies is the ability to sell players and get them to leave. So yeah, Eddie, start with you, man. Just, as we enter, January in the coming weeks here, out of some of those things, just, how do you feel about some of the players that we're looking to extend? And if PSG was to make some moves in January, where would you ideally like to see us focus? Or, some players that you'd like to see us kind of, put in the chopping block?
So adding on to the extensions, actually PSG's the Argentine media outlet Teis Sports reported that actually PSG is working on an extension with and it was also in Le Parisien where they're working on an extension with Paredes. I don't know how accurate it is, but reportedly they're making, they're beginning talks because his contract expires in 2023. So I'm going to write on that tonight. I just decided to drop that in there because it was Marquinhos and Di Maria and Paredes who they're reportedly, working on extensions on. And then as far as Icardi, there's a report that he said he's not going anywhere because there were other reports saying that he might want to go to a club that's like less, it's more quiet. But apparently, he's one of the players that wants to stick around. But aside from that, we gotta improve the midfield. I know this is a broken record. They gotta improve the midfield. We can't rely on Verratti anymore. The guy, as much as I love him, as much as everybody loves him, you can't count on him. He's either injured, he's either suspended. So it's PSG somehow needs to find someone that can bring, what he brings to the table. I know it's going to be hard because January isn't, you only get a couple of weeks to work out deals. So, but I mean, they got to do it. You got to do. They're in a win now mode. You got to do what you got to do. And then I would entertain maybe the center back role because I don't know what's going to happen with Ramos. And I think when Kimpembe has some type of competition, you get the best out of him. I know since Ramos played, I think the games after that, Kimpembe has looked solid. But before that, Kimpembe was really, really sloppy. So I feel maybe like having some type of center back that can provide some type of competition because they gotta be honest with themselves and say, hey, how much are we going to be able to count on Ramos? Because you just can't have this in and out injury time. You gotta have three solid center backs. Whether it's someone else, maybe Tilo Kehrer steps into that role, but somebody has to give Kimpembe some type of competition to get the best out of him because we saw it, the last couple of years where it was Thiago Silva there. And he got the best out of Kimpembe. So they feel like if nobody else out of there can get the competition juices flowing out of Kimpembe, they got to address that. But for me, first and foremost, it's that midfield. You gotta fix it. You gotta stop relying on Verratti and see what you can get out there. I know there's some couple of names. Usually it's Milan's Frank Kessi's out there. There's some other names that have been linked to PSG. But there's going to be a lot more other names. Come January, these next couple of weeks, you're going to see a lot of them trickle out. But definitely, first and foremost, that midfield. Like I said, it's been a broken record. How many people have said to fix it? But first and foremost, that's the position that I would target because you're not going to go anywhere without a midfield.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's interesting you bring up Frank Kessié because he's one of the guys who's been on my radar for a couple of years now, actually. Central midfielder from Milan. He's like, the dude is like, you just look at this dude's frame. He's a beast. He's a machine. But I think what I like about him is he's just such a dynamic player where he can play in a deep lying midfielder role or like he can play as an 8. And I think that, when we talk about Verratti and his his fragility, this is very much an important position that PSG need to address. But just to kind of go back on Marquinhos getting extended, and I think that's a no-brainer. I think when you look at PSG's roster, you look at who's a certified starter, who's that's the guy. He's a captain. I believe he's getting better. At his leadership, I see him barking at the guys more than I've seen him in the past. So yeah, Marquinhos is invaluable, man. He's one of those players who seems like a nice guy, but like just his play on the field is immense. And we saw how we played when he wasn't there. I don't think as a collective defensively we're not the greatest team. But he's shored up some things when he came back into the lineup there. And also Di Maria, I think that would be a good idea to bring him back if they want to exercise that option. Because, again, we've seen how many times that Di Maria has come up clutch for us, particularly in the Champions League matches. And we've talked about earlier how he's one of the few forwards that actually does the work in terms of tracking back and having that energy and doing those things. So I think that would be a good idea. But in terms of players to bring in, yeah, I'm looking at that midfield as well, just like Eddie. Frank Kessié is definitely a player that I think we should go get. And I read somewhere where I think they are talking to his team. I'm not sure how true that is, but I would like to see that. But yeah, we definitely got to address that midfield because, as we've seen in all of Europe, the best teams in the world, like if you're nothing with that midfield, and if we always got to rely on Marco Verratti, who's not always healthy, then yeah, we're doomed.
And I think everybody said pretty much how I feel, to be honest. Uh, Ty, based on that list that you mentioned of all the players that we're thinking about selling, I agree with that whole list. But kind of hard to sell a bunch of mid. So we'll see what teams come barking up the tree, but we tried it over the summer to offload, and I think we did an okay job with getting rid of some of the guys, but Kurzawa is still that roach that still exists, and you ain't gonna kill him. He ain't going nowhere. I don't think Paredes goes anywhere because that's Neymar's guy, and I don't think Icardi goes anywhere because Wanda said so. So you're not gonna get rid of them, even though I would like if Icardi were to go, I would like to see us try to make a play for bringing back, bringing back some maybe some PSG youth players. Well, they're not youth anymore. I would love to see Diaby come back. That wouldn't suck. But in terms of the players that we definitively need, some going on with that center back position. I think Marquinhos is solidified. Kudos to PSG for exercising demons, I'll say, because Thiago Silva should still be a PSG player, full stop. And I think one of the ways you make amends with that is solidifying Marquinhos for the long term, especially because he has been showing up and putting in a great performance. Like, that's our guy. And it's just unfortunate that Thiago Silva had to go someplace else to get his, but we salute that man regardless. I don't know what's going on with Kimpembe. I do know. I think he is a great League One player, but I don't think that he is the kind and caliber of player that's going to win your Champions League, and that's just what it is. Sergio Ramos is just not where he needs to be, and it's okay for us to say that and have him come off the bench from time to time whenever he decides to actually get fully healthy. But I'm not looking for him to do anything, spectacular by any means. Who I'd bring in, of course, I mean, we've been having conversations about this midfield for like 5 years now. Verratti is Mr. Glass, just what it is. And when he is healthy, he's probably going to get on a card. So, it's just, we need somebody who's a little bit more disciplined and solid. I like Wilfred Ndidi. He currently plays at Leicester City, CDM role. He's really good on the ball. He can actually score, which is pretty nice. But he's pretty thorough. And he's almost 6 feet. I think he's like 5'11". So he's taller, which is definitely what we need in the midfield. I think Verratti is great, but if you just lob balls into the midfield, he can't jump up there and go get a ball for you. And that's something that teams know. And so we just need a player that's going to be solid, that's going to be sturdy. He's a Nigerian international, really great player. He's not on our radar at all. I checked, unfortunately. So, I mean, that would be my pick. Again, I think we need to clear the decks of all of that trash that's currently occupying our bench. I would love to see Xavi Simons get some playing time, please. Like, this kid is amazing, and he's just not getting the burn that he deserves, along with a few of our other talented under 21 quote unquote superstars. I'll say they're future superstars. But we have so much youth talent that can get burned, and we just don't do anything with it. And then they end up going to some other team in the French league and become amazing. So hopefully that doesn't happen with Xavi. I don't know what I would do if that would happen with him, but hopefully he can get some playing time next season. This is definitely not going to happen this season.
Yeah, I think you all hit, the nail on the head. For me, it's attacking the midfield. I think that's the only place to really focus on. When you look at, where this team struggles, the way the team is currently constructed, and as well as looking at, how we've tried to address the midfield in recent transfer windows, Rafinha, Paredes, Gay, Herrera, Danilo. I mean, Herrera has probably overexceeded what we expected. Gay has his moments, and I'm even okay, to be honest with you, but with Paredes and keeping him. But when I look at other midfields, I don't see any of these options when you pair them with Roddy and looking at that and saying that's a Champions League winning midfield. When you look at Munich, Goretzka, Kimmich, Mueller, you look at Liverpool, Thiago, Hendo, at one point they had Genie, and just some other, and listen, I guess Genie potentially could have been that person, but it just hasn't worked out. Maybe he's starting to find his rhythm. You look at Man City, you got Silva, Gundogan, you got, De Bruyne. So that is where we need to attack. I don't really know what options are out there. I would love to get the kid from Monaco. One, I don't know if, he's on our radar. Surprisingly enough, it's like I never hear PSG connected to enough Ligue 1 players. I don't know if it's because teams don't bend over for us in France like they do in Germany, and we don't just siphon players. It seems like Leonardo only has connections in Serie A or Raiola candidates or players, I should say. So that is ideally where we should go. I don't know how you guys feel about Pogba. I think some people have soured on him. Maybe it's because of just the injury, or listen, if Man United's willing to part ways, if they truly feel they're not going to re-sign him, and you can get him in January for 40 or 50, or maybe even a swap and send someone their way. Maybe, who knows, right? With the way that Ralph is looking to play, could you do a Pogba for Genie swap deal with some cash, with the pressing system he likes to play, or someone else. So I think midfield has to be the target. I just don't know. January is a tough window already. It's a tough window to offload players. It's a tough window to get players in. I don't think you're going to get Kessié in January. I think he is interested in PSG. I know PSG are connected to him. Lucky for us, he plays in Italy. So, that's a leg up for us with Leonardo. I just don't know, with Milan being in first place in Serie A, if they'd be willing to lose one of their key players, right? Halfway through the season.
Let me in terms of Kessié, Milan would be willing to sell, because I did a story a couple of weeks ago, because they don't want to lose him for free. They already lost Donnarumma. They lost another player on a free transfer. And right now they're like 2 or 3 million euros apart on like contract demands. Like Kessié wants like 9 million euros annually, somewhere around that ballpark. And like Milan is only willing to go like 6.5. So they're like way apart on negotiations. And I don't think they want to lose another player on a free transfer. So that's why they might consider selling him, just to not lose him on a free.
Pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger. Eddie, do you know, just from your research and what you've written, are PSG in the race for Kessié? And if so, are we in pole position, or is it looking like another team could swoop in and
no? I think they're in the room, because Leonardo has that connection with him at when he was at Milan. So there's that connection right there. That's one of the reasons why he got Donnarumma. Apart from having that Raiola connection, he was there. So I'm feeling like he's trying to poach as much talent out of Milan, because how sour it went there too. But yeah, for Kessié, I've only seen like Tottenham, because they got Conte. Conte loves Serie A talent. Not a lot. I don't recall any other clubs that can probably meet like the financial demands that he wants. Because I think he wants like a salary around 9 million annually, and PSG can probably meet that. So like that's one of the sticking points. That's why they haven't already reached a contract extension, because his deal is up in June. So like Milan just doesn't want to lose another player on a free transfer and get nothing in return, because they already went through that last window. So like it's going to be up to them. If the only reason that they might keep him is because they want to just try to win the league. But if they don't want to lose another player on a free transfer, then they're probably open to talks, depending on what goes their way. But yeah, it's they're 2.5, 3 million euros apart in salary, so that's the only reason why they'd be considered opening to selling him this January window. So if they can't reach a contract extension, then they'll likely open to selling him.
Interesting.
And I don't think we would, and I don't think we would like blow a bag on him either, because I think like
10 mil.
what is he valued
10
around
mil.
10? I was thinking 30, around 30, 40-ish. Like I feel like that's as high as I would go, and then, you wouldn't be exactly spending an absorbent amount of money, especially during the January transfer window. So I think it's possible what Eddie's saying, and then just like the contract situation. Like if it's possible, that's something they should definitely pull the trigger on.
Yeah, maybe 30. Maybe I was walling out. It says his market value right now is, at least Transfer Market has it at 60 mil. But I mean, listen, if they're going to lose him on a free, especially we know what the Serie A clubs are dealing with financially, the lack of funds, they lost Donnarumma on a free. The fan base, like Eddie said, would probably, go into an upheaval if they lose, Frank on a free, if they can't, come to an agreement. But, if you could just open up with 10 mil and just see what they say, or listen, if they have the 30, then spend the 30, right? Or even do a player swap of some sort to reduce that fee. See if at that point, maybe even, right? Maybe that's why the PSG are hypothetically open to, taking a loan offer for Genie to get some of that, salary off the books to allow another team to play it or pay it. So I'd be interested. I like the profile. It gets us some youth in our midfield. I'm definitely not opposed to that. I think he's a good player. I'll be honest. I've watched him a handful of times. I haven't done probably as much, viewing of his games as John has. So I'll definitely defer to him, but, I trust and respect John's, evaluation of players. So listen, it can't be worse than what we have, right? At the end of the day, we don't really have that many options. So midfield has to be addressed. Got to kill some of the dead wood, get some of these people making absorbent salaries, off the books, and start, bringing individuals in that are just younger, more youthful, and, fit what we need, right? In order to have this team be successful. So awesome. I have one more question for you guys. One thing we want to try and do is, and we'll make this quick. I know we got to get out of here. So, literally 1 or 2 sentences on this. One of our listeners actually sent a question in, and he wanted to know what our thoughts were on the UEFA removing the away goals rule as we enter the round of 16. And basically, I have a certain view on this. With PSG, he mentioned going last year to Germany and Barcelona and winning. Does the away rule, have as much effect as it used to? I don't think it does, but I will put an asterisk next to those results and remind people that, with COVID, those stadiums were empty, right? So we didn't have to really go there and face a true hostile environment. But real quick, Eddie, starting with you, what are your thoughts on the away goal rule being removed for this upcoming knockout stages, and what effect do you think that will have on not only PSG but the competition in general?
So I started to see this rule in like Latin American soccer, because usually they follow whatever Europe does. So like a lot of the competitions have taken out that away goal rule, and it obviously all depends on the type of team that's playing, but it does make it there is room for like teams to play like sloppy. We're gonna muddy it up, and we're just trying to get either ones. We're trying to limit how much damage you can do to us. So it all depends on the team that's playing. But it does open up the opportunity for teams to just try to muddy it up and try to get a favorable result on the road. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm okay with it. No big deal for me. But like I said, it does open it up for teams to try to just try to survive while they're playing against the Bayern Munich team or whoever. So I mean, it is what it is. I'm okay with that. No big deal on my part.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's something that is, kind of fundamental, if you will, to football, in a way that maybe other sports won't really understand. And it does present a bit of drama at times. Just given how the structure of the two legs can be set up. But, you know, I think sometimes it gets confusing as a fan. You're like, okay, so we need how many goals in order to go forward? It gets like really weird, but I don't think that it will overall impact the sport in any way. But we'll see. I don't really have an opinion on it. I think if they want to get rid of the away goals rule, that's totally fine. I don't know that it will, decide a quarterfinal in a way where it's like, well, if we had the away goals rule, then this team would be going forward. It's like once you get close to the end, it like the best teams usually just like appear. It's not an accident. And that's one of the things that I really love about this sport is that the champion at the end is usually supposed to be the champion. And it's more along the lines of, do we want to start to like modernize some of the rules and throw out some of these sort of antiquated things and, improve the quality of the sport overall? And maybe this is one of the ways that you do it. So I don't really have an opinion on it. Outside of that, I think it's cool if you want to go ahead and remove the away goals rule. Hopefully we still go through to the next round. That's only my concern.
Yeah, I think they're like a couple of years late on doing this. This should have happened a long time ago, because if you think about it's an away goal, what you're insinuating is that it's quote unquote tougher to score a goal when you're not home. So when you do that, you get rewarded, for in whatever scenario. So, but no, I think that teams can't hide anymore. You can't hide on we're going to park the bus in the first leg or we're going to try to protect the goal in the second leg. Nah, ain't none of that. It's straight up. And I think it's going to I think the drama is going to be there. And I think it's even going to be there even to a higher degree, because you're playing straight up matches. There's no this and that. Oh, you got to do mathematics and all this other stuff. Like, nah, teams can no longer hide, and you got to play everybody straight up. And to be quite honest, I thought it was unfair to, depending on who you ask, if you're a Liverpool fan, if you're a Barca fan or whoever, the later it gets into the round, then you're saying, oh, because we were tied, but they scored the away goal, that's why they go through. Like, nah. So yeah, they should have got rid of that. So I can't wait to see how it plays out. We might be on the wrong end of it this go around, whatever. But I like the fact that equal opportunity smoke for everybody.
Yeah, I'm indifferent about it, but I do like the away goal rule. I just think it makes the Champions League unique. It's a unique rule. It's a unique competition. I think when you think of European nights, you think of Champions League. I think this is a rule, which I'm okay with, right? Because I'm a fan of a big team. I think this is a rule that is being removed in order to further protect the big clubs, to make that odd, blip in the schedule or that odd result less likely. It's, an opportunity for a Manchester City, PSG, Chelsea to, if it's tied, we go to extra time, right? To give the better team more time to get the result that the percentages show should be there. Now, will there still be the odd shock? Yeah, there probably will be the odd team that goes an extra, two halves and is able to get a result or takes it to PKs and, shocks the world. So those moments will still be shocking, but I think we'll see less of them, which is kind of sad, right? I think, you look back to Ajax versus Real Madrid, Spurs versus Man City, Lyon versus Man City, just some of these odd results, even, and again, right, we've been on both sides. You look at the result with, Bayern Munich last year, it was an away goals rule. We won on away goals, right? Do we win that match if the away goals rule is abolished? If we have to play for another, 20, 30 minutes? Maybe not, the way that we were looking that day. So I think the away goals rule, I was going to say, was a 6-1 against Barcelona. Did they advance on away goals? Because they scored all those goals at home, right? We scored our goals at home. They scored theirs at home. So I don't think the away goal rule, affected that match. But yeah, listen, I'm not like devastated that it's being removed. I think that it's an addition or a modification to protect the big clubs, to remove that odd result, and the better team should progress. But I do think the away goal rule kind of added a bit of excitement, just because you never knew what was going to happen. But yeah, we've been on both sides, so I'm not too upset about it. So we'll see how it affects us. Hopefully it affects us in a good way, not a negative way, but I do think it's a bit of history. And I do understand, where you guys are coming from. I don't think the away goal rule is as effective as it was in the past, due to the fact of teams had to travel more, going away to a team on a plane or a bus in Europe, not being able to take first class flights in these super comfortable planes. Teams aren't as tired and exhausted, right, when they go away. Teams, do park the bus, but I do think there are teams like PSG, like Liverpool, like Man City, that we're not afraid to go away, and we're not going to park the bus. We're going to play attacking football no matter where we go. So I think that, when that rule was created, it was, allowed teams to go away and park the bus, which I don't think you have many teams that play that way. Football has advanced so much that you have a lot of high lines, free flowing, fast paced football. And a lot of the top teams do play that way. And I don't see them, maybe Chelsea's a team that, not the fans, but maybe when Tuchel looks at tactically, he's someone who has the ability, and it's in his DNA, to maybe play a more defensive setup where he would benefit from something like this, or that rule being in place, versus now he's going to be encouraged to go away and kind of open it up a little bit, which is exciting as well. So yeah, that's kind of my take on it. I think we all kind of, fall in the same category. So not super excited, not super bummed out. Either way, I do think that we will lose that odd special result, but it is what it is. So, and maybe it'll be even more impressive, right, when a team does, put in the extra shift and maybe goes to PKs or scores an extra goal or two, in extra time in order to see their team through. So, awesome.
I'm not gonna lie. It ruined me on FIFA in career mode because I didn't know they updated on the new FIFA. So I'm thinking I got the away.
Oh, noted. I didn't even know that. Noted.
Yeah. Ruined me.
Perfect. Well, fellas, another successful pod, man. Like always, a pleasure linking up with you guys. Eddie, nothing but love, man. Great to get you back in the fold. Look forward to getting you on here with us more. Always great to have someone that can keep us on our toes. A couple of times already, I saw that you provided some vital information that we didn't have. So love having you here, man. I think that's it for us. So I'll let each of us go through, give the contact where individuals can follow you, interact with you, and before kind of closing shop here. So Eddie, why don't you tell the people, man, where they can support you, where they can get your tweets and interact with you a little bit.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter on, I think it's _ Eddie Razo. Most importantly, just follow PSG Talk, check out the website. That's how I get paid. that's my job there. So just follow all that stuff. Check out the articles. Lots of Messi content. That's what drives our website over the last couple of months. October was the best month we've ever had, over 1 million page views, clicks, whatever you want to call it. So it's, yeah, so mostly everybody just go to the website, check all that stuff out. Any stuff in English, although I usually stay on my toes when it comes to reading all the PSG stuff and writing the articles in English. So yeah, check that out. And check out my other job at NBC Sports Washington. I have a link in my Twitter account that has all the articles and stuff that we work on. So yeah, check out PSG Talk. Support us there.
100%. Make sure you go follow Eddie, support him, man. And like he said, follow PSG Talk. And then John, what about you, man? Where can people can't interact with you on Twitter no more?
Yeah, I was about to say I don't have anything to plug, but other than just listen out for me on these podcasts, pretty much on the PSG Talking podcast, and I might dip into some getting back into some writing about some soccer stuff here So other than that, yeah, I actually like the piece of not being on Twitter and all that stuff. It's been kind of nice. I'm not really hounding Twitter to give me my profile back right now, so so like I'm kind of good with that. But yeah, man, just check us out, man, here on PSG Talk. So, and this is where you'll pretty much be hearing from me in the now and near future.
Perfect. I believe, James, you're not on socials either, but correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it must be something in the air, man. I'm definitely taking a break. I mean, it's still active. It's _JCJ. Just leave a message there. I'll get back to y'all probably in the new year. Might get back into the Twitter thing, but just taking a mental break, man. You know, much like John said, it feels good. But definitely glad to be here, hanging out with the fellas, and yeah, another successful show.
I feel you, man. I feel you. It's definitely disconnecting is definitely necessary. Make sure you guys, everyone should disconnect for a little bit, you know, from social media and stuff like that and reset. But me personally, my personal Twitter is @Ty_. on Twitter. Some of you may follow me already, but I did create one that is just more PSG focused. You know, that's @24th and Park. And that is something that obviously, you know, at some point, one point, maybe that'll be shared with the rest of the guys. That was, you know, a Twitter handle that was created for the revival of 24th and Park. We're actually blessed today to have the two founders, you know, on the show for 24th and Park. So basically, if you want to just follow nothing but just PSG related stuff, you can follow 24th and Park. You'll find me. Maybe one day John will jump on there and interact as well. But with that being said, thank you for stopping by. Make sure to share some feedback. Stay well, be safe, happy holidays, and peace out till next time.